NFL Week 15 Sunday Night Football. Very interesting game as the Dallas Cowboys host the Minnesota Vikings as 5.5-point home faves. We'll break this one down and what the best bet is for this thing coming up here on this video. Ninja here with OddsShark's Nick Holz. Hit the thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and stick with OddsShark as your number one betting guide throughout the NFL regular season and throughout, of course, the playoffs, which are coming up. Nick, Dallas was flying so high going into the Week 14 Thursday nighter. Lots of potential playoff chatter with this team. And even still, the Eagles keep hurling them a little bit of a life preserver as they keep shitting the bed themselves. But how important is that extra rest going to be for the Cowboys just to reset after that disappointing loss to the Lions?
Yeah, I think it's massive to have that little mini bye for a Cowboys team that, prior to last week, it played 3 games in 11 days, and they won all 3, right? So they're still 3-1 in that stretch. Obviously, with CD Lamb coming off a concussion and his status for Sunday up in the air, the extra rest is much appreciated. And playing a physical Lions team as well, I think that there should be a well-rested Cowboys team on Sunday Night Football.
It's frustrating for me as a non-Cowboys fan to watch George Pickens sometimes. So I can't imagine how frustrating it is for fans of the team. Just seems to take certain plays off. I don't know. It's just a weird situation. But Nick, when George Pickens is trying, is this the best offense in the NFL?
Yeah, the guy's a stud, though. Imagine if he just put it all together, right? You're looking at a guy who's 3rd in receiving yards, 5th in receptions, and receiving touchdowns this season. When he's engaged, he's a star. So I think this is the top 5 unit in the NFL without a shadow of a doubt. Cowboys are 5th in EPA per play, 6th in success rate, 3rd in points per game at 29.5, and 1st in yards per game on the year. We got Dak Prescott back there slinging the football, putting up MVP-type numbers, as well as Pickens and CD Lamb next to him, and then Javonte Williams in the backfield. This unit is tough to stop.
Yeah, and it's easy to bypass what Javonte and this Cowboys backfield has done. Not much expectation coming into the season. On the other side of things, though, Nick, give me your assessment of JJ McCarthy after putting up, arguably his best performance of the season against a really bad Commanders team. But this was the NFC's Player of the Week in Week 1, which seems like a lifetime ago. He's had a tough season, but did do some good things against Washington. But what do you make of this guy?
Yeah, you know what? If you watch McCarthy at Michigan, you knew he was always going to need some time to develop in the NFL, right? He never had the game in his hands at Michigan, really, always buoyed by a strong running attack and a fantastic defense with the Wolverines. And then he missed all of his rookie season, right? So what people might not know is that you miss crucial practice development reps in that time period as well, even if he wasn't going to be the starter. So technically this is his rookie year, and we're seeing some of that, unfurl on the field, right? I think the judgment surrounding him is a little bit unfair. While his numbers have been historically bad, we've seen guys like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones recover from early season crashes and turn into not star quarterbacks, but, top starting quarterbacks in the league. So I think we need to let McCarthy develop for a few seasons, and especially with Kevin O'Connell back there in Minnesota, he still has some potential.
So perfect segue to my next question. So when looking at this Vikings team, and especially the rest of the regular season here, they're not mathematically eliminated from the postseason, but what's going to be more important to this team? Trying to sneak their way into the playoffs or developing JJ McCarthy in these last few games?
Playoffs. Where's Jim Mora when you need him? Come on, man. The Vikings are done. They're 4th in NFC North. They'd have to catch about, 6 teams and surpass them to get into the playoffs, and that's not going to happen this year. They're banged up as well, but getting McCarthy used to NFL speed and developing him for the future should be priorities number 1, 2, and 3 in Minnesota for the rest of the year, and keeping him healthy should be priority number 4. Vikings fans won't like to hear it, but they've spent a lot of money on free agents over the past couple seasons, so this is a team that needs to win now and contend next year.
I didn't expect we'd have a Jim Mora impression here on the preview video, but great work there. I want to talk about Justin Jefferson before we get to your pick. Just a couple of interesting points here. He's been on an awful run of games by his lofty standards. Is this a spot maybe where he could put up some big numbers against, a team and a secondary that's been leaky at times this season? Should we target him in prop markets here, Nick?
Yeah, I love this spot for JJ. I mean, looking at our NFL team defensive report over on oddshark.com, you can see Dallas gives up the most yards to wide receivers in the NFL at over 170 per game, as well as the most touchdowns at 1.7 to the position. So the Cowboys defense has improved a bit of late, but they're 25th in EPA per loud over the last 5 weeks. And I'm jumping on Justin Jefferson's alt numbers. I think it could go for 80 plus, maybe 90 plus, or even 100 if you're feeling lucky.
It's interesting because in his last, 6 or so games, the production has not been there. 4 catches for 37, 5 for 61, 4 for 48, 2 for 4, and 2 for 11. Not a great run of games here. So let me ask you this. We talk about JJ McCarthy. We talk about the lack of production for Justin Jefferson. Is there maybe something brewing behind the scenes here? Is the clock ticking on Justin Jefferson's time in Minnesota? Do you think there's a world where he requests a trade in the near future?
Well, I think as long as Kevin O'Connell's in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson will be there. Vikings wide receiver coach Keenan McCardell, who, if you're a fan of the Bucs in the early 2000s, you know well, he's been a big part of Jefferson's development down in Minnesota. And I think as long as those two stay in the building, Jefferson will be a Viking. Plus, his extension just kicked in this year. He would leave $72 million in dead cap if he's traded next year. So I don't think Justin Jefferson's going anywhere for a while.
Even with a quarterback that doesn't really have that aerial prowess that we've seen with Viking quarterbacks, even with a JJ McCarthy as the next guy, you think he'll be content to stick around?
Yeah, I think he'll have to. They don't really have a choice right now. Minnesota's up against the cap and can't afford a Jefferson trade at that number at all. So he's kind of stuck in that situation, for better or for worse right now. I know a lot of LSU fans would love to see JJ meet up with his boys in Cincinnati, but that's just not going to happen anytime soon.
We'll get to your pick in a moment here. But folks, celebrate the holidays and get Prop Professor for 50% off for the first month right now. Prop Professor drops hundreds of plus EV bets every day, and it gives you a real shot at finding long-term profit. And you can sort through plays across the NFL, college football, the NBA, and many more leagues. There's a great arbitrage tool here. There's a great fantasy optimizer as well. Easily the best bang for buck on the market compared to its competition. You can use the promo code SHARK50 at checkout and get 50% off for that first month. All right, Nick, let's get into some plays here. Definitely a lot of opportunity from a betting standpoint in this one. Tons of star power on both teams here. If anybody out there is interested in prop markets, as we sit here midweek, the Cowboys 5.5-point home faves. The total is 47.5. The over skewed a little bit at -112. Dallas -270 on the money line. The Vikes come back as +220 dogs. Plenty of options here. What are you looking at?
I like the Cowboys to cover the spread at home, -5.5. Across the past 5 weeks, Minnesota's 30th in EPA and 37% drop back success rate. So I find it hard to believe the Cowboys or the Vikings can keep up with this explosive Cowboys offense with Quinnen Williams on the field. So since the trade deadline, the Cowboys have posted a defensive pressure rate of over 40%. So I like Dallas's defensive line to dominate this one and really take it to 9 in the Vikings.